Good morning, you guys. It is January 22nd. It is, I
Wow.
think, a week from my birthday, maybe, or close to it.
Yeah, you
I don't
have
know.
it's next Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. Jared and I decided that we are going to do something a little bit different than normal. He gets a new gun and I get new jewelry.
Oh, for
For,
birthdays?
yeah, because his birthday is the day after mine and we never know what to do. So it's just like, that's what we're going to do.
So
We're
you're
going to,
gonna buy him a gun and
yeah.
he's gonna buy you jewelry. What kind of jewelry? Do you pick it out and tell him what you
Oh,
want?
yeah.
Yeah.
We just went to the jewelry store. I got like my wedding ring evaluated, and cleaned it all really good. And
Yeah.
then he had got me a piece of jewelry for Christmas, and I wasn't a huge fan. It was a custom piece, and it was just different. And I wasn't going to wear it daily, and I like to wear daily stuff. So
Right.
I went in, exchanged that, and it's our like family jeweler. We've been going there since my parents have been going there. So
Nice.
I just made a wish list. I went through and just kind of picked out. So I'm going to start stacking rings on this side. So that day I got a ring. I picked out a ring and it won't be done because I had to get it sized to my finger. And then I had my old grandmother's ring. When she died, I got her wedding band, but she was a farmer's wife. So she had like a man's ring with diamonds. So
Hmm.
I made it into a woman's more feminine ring and making it gold now. So yeah, so I'm just gonna start stacking some rings on this side. That's what I'm gonna do. So I
Nice.
figured, like, I just want the pieces that I want, and I picked out diamond earrings that I want that are on my wish list. Like, I just picked out some stuff that if he ever wants to go shopping, he now could just pull from my wish list. Which
Yeah.
again, to me, is getting ahead of any kind of arguments or being disappointed. Like
Yeah,
now,
I don't
I
let my
know
husband surprise
he
me
does.
with things. I'm
Yeah,
a control for I don't like surprises in general. I need to know. I need to know everything.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's what I said to him. I was like, you know what? If you want to get me something without me saying, like, here, this specific thing, I will make a little like wish list on Etsy.
Yep.
And then you could just surprise me with what
Right.
you're going to pick off of the list.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like, same way with clothes or shoes, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 44, I have my style, I have my thing, like, don't try to make me something I'm not gonna wear it, or I'm not gonna like it, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so I got all that, super excited to get that back. Josie, took my old engagement ring from my first husband and she's been wearing it, but it was in silver, and Josie's a gold girl. So I took that ring in also. So my jeweler got tons of business from me this weekend because I exchanged a ring, I made a wish list, but then I also dropped off my grandma's ring to get put into gold. And then I dropped off my old engagement ring, my very first engagement ring from her dad, and I made it into gold. And then I also added some diamonds on the side of it that she doesn't know about. So that'll be a nice little surprise for her. Kind of like just I was never going to use it or wear it,
Mhm.
and it's a nice little small diamond. It's a good like promise type ring size for like a 17-year-old. It's nothing flashy, and Joe
Mhm.
wanted it to be low profile. So for those of you that don't know what to do with your ring, I had two rings. I had my engagement ring and wedding ring from him, but then we shocker got in a big huge fight one time, and he bought me a new ring which was like a whole over a carat. And so I never really wore that smaller ring. I just always kept it. But then we got divorced and I hawked the fucking carat ring to pay for my attorney
Yeah.
because that
Immediately.
was a good 5 grand I could get for that. So I didn't have that ring, but I had my original diamond ring,
Yeah,
which
let us know in the comments, guys. What did you do with your wedding rings?
what
Because
did
I
you
know
do with it?
a lot of people ask us. I see people posting those questions in our
Yeah.
support groups, like, "What'd you guys do with the rings?" I sold mine
Hmm.
immediately, and
Yep.
I did one of those online cash for gold places. I
Okay.
just mailed it in, and they like insure it, and you put a thing, and then they send you a quote, and then if
Yeah.
you like the quote, you just say okay, and then they send you the money. So that's what I did because
Yeah.
I needed the money to get into an apartment.
Well, I think it's one of those just personal choices. I mean, it is a
Yeah,
gift. The engagement ring is considered a gift. Your wedding ring is a gift. So it's yours to do what you want with. And I know a lot of husbands disagree with that and they want that back.
you can't
Um,
have that back.
you
That's
can't
that's
have, yeah, can't have that back. But you get to, I was fortunate enough that I could keep it. I wasn't going to get, but maybe $800 for that first ring anyways. So I'd always kept it. And she while it is connective piece to her dad, it's a diamond, and she wanted
Yeah.
to wear it, but she didn't
Right.
like how tall it was. So like she couldn't put her hands in her pocket because it would catch. So I
Yeah.
got her, when I rebuilt it, they're building it as a low profile. So it's just like the
Okay.
gold will go up to the diamond and the diamond won't be sticking up. So it'll
Yeah.
be a little bit more casual for her to wear. But
So
yeah,
yes,
so I mean,
Rachel says she sold hers.
yeah.
Yeah, some people hold on to them, like to pass down to their kids.
Uh-huh.
Some people turn it into something else. They repurpose it
Necklace.
into
Yeah.
like a different kind of ring or a necklace or earrings or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different
It's kind of
options.
like keeping your last name. It's a personal choice on what you want to do
Yeah,
with it. So it always blows my mind in our support groups when people ask for advice on that. Like, should I keep my name? Should I keep my ring? Like, that's a personal choice on what
yeah.
you want to do. I
I
got
feel
rid of
like
that
the
name
name thing
fast.
comes more from
The
moms.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, like they don't know if they should have a different last name than their kids. And it
Yeah.
is totally a personal. I think I definitely see people do both.
Both. Hmm.
The first time I changed my name right away because I hated that last name from the get-go. And so I was glad to get rid of that. The second divorce, I was just lazy. And it was such a pain in the ass because I had already changed my name like 3 times or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
People at the DMV were like, "Oh, here comes
I was
Leah
just
again."
like, forget it. I'm just gonna hold on to it and wait until, maybe I'll get married again. And then so then I changed it again.
Yeah, mine was simple. My last name, my maiden name is Awesome, but
It
then
is?
yeah, I mean,
Wait, hold on. So
I
you had a last name of Awesome, and then now
no,
you
no,
have a last name
no,
of Boss?
no. I just want. I think Boss was awesome. So like,
Oh, I see. I'm like, you
I
had 2 sick names.
no, no.
Okay,
I
okay.
think I think my last name was Awesome. So it was like,
Yes.
why would I to keep what my last name was like. Plus, I was a teacher, and I heard it all day long. I mean, students are like, "Hey, this, hey, that, hey," and I was just like, "I'm going through this nasty divorce that's costing me an arm and a leg," and I'm like, the last thing I want to be reminded of is the divorce, and so even though my kids were young, and I know some people, die on the hill of I want the same last name as my kids. I was not on that hill. I was like, "Get me off this hill. I do not want to be on it. I am my own person. I'm going to go back to my maiden name." But I had a really good conversation with a client not too long ago who was married for 25 years, and she was like, "Sam, that's my identity. That's who
Yeah.
I am. I'm so far removed from my maiden name. That's not anywhere close to who I am." And then you have people that, are estranged from their family too, which I totally understand and don't want to go back to their maiden name. So it's just a personal choice, but I don't want anybody to feel like they have to keep it. I mean, it's 2024.
Yeah,
People
you do
are
what you want.
used to your kids not having the same last name. I don't think it's taboo anymore. It's almost asked. We were just when I was dropping off that ring, they said, "What's your daughter's name so she can come pick it up?" And I told her, and she goes, "Does she have the same last name as you?" Like it's already assumed to ask. I think a lot of people will know that there might be a difference in last name. So,
And I grew up that way too. My parents were never married, and so
yeah,
when I was born, I had my dad's name. So I never had shared the last name with
yeah.
my mom, and it's like it didn't make any difference. So
Yeah, I wonder that with the boys, with the little boys, because they know their last name and they know their dad's last name. And then when I ask them what my name is, they tell me dad's last name, which is totally fine. We're not married yet, and we will eventually. But then they do the same thing for Josie too. So like when I say, "Hey, what's Josie's name?" They'll say Josie, and then they give her his last name, their last name, and it's just so cute. But it's like, well, if they try to keep up with my big kid's last name changes, it'd be really confusing because we're all changing names. But yeah, so changing names and rings. But we are getting ready to give a training in about 30 minutes to the next chapter people. So if you're part of the next chapter, this is what it's going to be about. If you're not, there's time to join us today, $30 a month. But I'm going to give a training on mediation prep and kind of telling you how to conduct yourself. And I'm going to focus on high conflict mediation prep and what to incur. Did you see my fucking TikTok Friday or Thursday of last week? I had a
you never
client.
know. I just see it on the feed, and I don't know
Oh,
when it.
I had a client. Oh my gosh, I'm so angry. I just got angry just remembering it. She had mediation with her abuser. Okay,
Mhm.
mind you, her attorneys were present with the mediator. So it was a marathon mediation. A marathon means that you literally sit there for hours. I am totally 100% against marathon. I don't believe in them. I've had great success with hour-long meetings. I don't think anybody needs to be sitting in any fucking losing a day of work. No, it's a no for me. Anyways, She sent me a message and she said, Sam, my therapist told me to only stay there at max for 4.5 hours. She stayed for 14 and a half. Her attorney and she paid her attorney and the mediator for 14 and a half hours. And here's the best part. Nothing was agreed upon.
Of course not.
He fucked
That's
her
crazy.
over the whole day trying to, oh, just put this in here. And so she'd put it in there. She gave him 50-50. She gave up child support. She gave him the kit and caboodle by the fucking 13th hour rolled around. And he at the end goes, nah. 14 and a half hours? You better hope we left at separate times because I would be out for the jugular had we left at the same time. Like, so my fault is this. The mediator needs to be fired. Any mediator that's going to keep you there with, and knowing that it was high conflict. This mediator knew this was an abusive situation. Knowing it's high conflict and just sucking the money from these people, going back and forth from room to room saying, well, he says this. Well, now she's requesting this. Now, fuck you, mediator. But your own attorney watches your body go from anxious when you walk in the door to what she looked like when she left 14 and a half hours later. She's away from her job. She's away from her kids. She's away from her pets. She's away from any kind of support staff for 14. And she's supposed to be making 14 and a half.
That's basically a 14-hour argument is what.
Yes. Can you imagine how tired they both were the next day from the role? And even him, I mean, I'll even give him anybody that has to go through that much and nothing was agreed upon. Nothing, but she has to pay for 14 and a half hours to the mediator and to her attorney to sit there. Like when I do mediation, I don't let attorneys. And in Illinois, you don't have to have your attorney present for mediation. To me, I don't understand the point. To me, you're just litigating with a third party because your attorney is going to be talking for you in the mediation. So that I don't understand attorneys being there. And I know people are going to disagree with me on that and say, I loved that my attorney was there. Good for you. That's why I give a whole workshop on preparing yourself for what actually goes into a parenting plan so you don't go into it blind and you wouldn't need your attorney there because that's just added cost to this whole fucking hoopla of things. But 14 and a half hours? I mean, my heart broke for her. So she's like, can I talk to you? I was like, girl, here's a free consult. Like, you have already dumped enough money into this bullshit. Let me be your cheerleader. Let me talk you, off this ledge of frustration a little bit. So we're meeting this week and I think it's tomorrow. My heart goes out to her. 14 and a half hours.
Yeah. Anya is saying I had 2 mediations like that. I wasted $25,000 for absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I want to know who this I'm going to ask her flat out who this mediator is. And I'm going to put her on blast. This
is a good question from Sosha. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right, but how is it even possible to have mediation with an abusive person who won't agree on anything? That's a good question, Sam. So for people listening, if they haven't gone into anything yet and they are trying to divorce a high conflict person, do you suggest that they go to mediation or do you think that they need to just kind of skip that altogether?
I think mediation, it goes down to a personal choice. Number one, is it mandatory in your state? Do you have to do it? But number two, if you do choose to do it, you can, if this person is truly abusive, you can totally have the shuttle mediation where you are in separate rooms. If it's on Zoom, you can ask for separate rooms on Zoom to where you're not in contact and visually present with that person. So you can ask for parameters, safety precautions if this is an abusive situation, but also stop and think, even though it doesn't sound like it will be productive in the sense of getting something accomplished and signed and agreed upon with somebody that's of high conflict or abusive. It's also, though, an investigative tool for you to ask questions to see where they're at. So, and you have to have a line in the sand where you have to say, okay, after 1 hour and we just seem to be name calling and nothing's getting accomplished, I'm walking away. I'm not going to sit there for 14 and a half. I'm not going to sit there for 2, to be honest, if I feel like it's going downhill and it's going to be just nothing but verbal abuse. But I could use that hour to maybe poke and prod to figure out if there's holes in the story, to figure out if there's holes in the mediation plan that he's come up with or she's come up with. So I would use it as an investigative tool. I would go into it with the low expectation of, I'm just going to show a few of my cards. I'm not showing the whole hand. I want to see what they're here to offer. And then we're going to go from there. I would have very low expectations. If it's somebody that loves to control you and abuse you like they were in the marriage, mediation is going to be an epic fail for you. Right. But again, you can go into it using it as a tool to help you with your case later of saying, well, this is what you can go back and tell your attorney, this is what they're going to ask for. This is why. Let's find a loophole. Let's find, if they're saying 50-50 and they're hell bent on it, use all the things that they talk about in the mediation to then build your case when you go to trial. So you could use it for that. But if it's one of those things where you're going to have to go to therapy before the session, therapy after the session, and it's not mandatory, just say no. I'd rather litigate, because if it's going to cause you emotional harm and mental health distress, just go to litigation, which means, you guys, and also to help you with that, always go with your parenting plan done. Go into mediation knowing what you're going to ask for, have it in paper. That way, if that person is abusive, I already have my thoughts on paper, and there ain't no fucking way they're talking me out of it. There's no way they're going to be able to mind fuck me or talk me into something I didn't agree to, because I already have it down on paper, which also shows the mediator that you're serious, that you're like, hey, she's coming with her game plan. She's got it here. She knows what she wants. You have a little bit of wiggle room, but you at least know everything that's going to be talked about because you're prepared and understand that. Okay. So
yeah.
But
and
yeah,
if you don't have a parenting plan, you got a workshop coming up. Right?
I have a workshop.
Yep. In the beginning of February.
February 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's $97. It's 3 days, which is 3 hours of information. And I just had a lady, I don't know if I told you this, that said, I can't believe this is all I get. She got the email of day 3 replay, and then the PDF was attached, because I give you a list of everything to go about. And it's the first ever, Leah, in all the months I've done it, I've ever had a complaint about the workshop. First one ever. And I read this email and it was very rude. And she was just like, I cannot believe this is all I get for $97. Or this is all I get for the money. She didn't mention that. And I said, well, I'm so sorry you feel that way. What could I do to make you feel better? But I said, have you watched all of the replays yet? I highly recommend watching the replays and then looking at the PDF. It took her 2 days, and she came back and she ate crow, and she said, I take back what I said. That was unbelievable. That was so much content.
I have heard nothing but good stuff about your workshop. Like our group coaching clients and all these people are like, holy shit, my lawyer couldn't believe how thorough this was. Like, this is amazing. So especially if you're divorcing a high conflict person, don't be fucking around. Get a parenting plan, not one that your attorney made, because it's going to be trash, and you're going to have to go back for modification, and you're going to have to be spending all this extra money on battling him in court for every single thing, or him or her. So get a solid, detailed parenting plan before everything's finalized. Trust me, it will save you so much stress. I hear it all the time from people.
Yep. Yeah. So that workshop's in February, guys. And if you're on my email list, I'll send out an email reminding you guys to sign up for that, because it's just so critical to go there, get an education, because you want to go into mediation prepared. You want to know what you want to ask for. And I've kind of switched the workshop to cater towards just high conflict. So like, if you feel like you and your ex are not going to be getting along, and this is for moms and dads, this is for both sexes, anybody's welcome to come to the workshop and just get an education. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of you are going to walk away more educated than your attorney about high conflict parenting plans. So if your attorney does not specialize in high conflict, I do. So I've lived it for 16 years. So my parenting plan is pretty freaking thorough, and that's what I teach in that class. So, yeah, what's the difference between arrears and financial stuff? We don't really talk about, because it is different state to state. It's not our big wheelhouse. We do know financial people to help you in divorce. I am following some awesome ass people on TikTok for financial divorce. And I'm trying to get one of them on right now. So bear with us as we try to find somebody. So if that'll help you later, let us know. Let's see. For people who have, what's this one? Have history of abuse and likely never had an agreement and never be in court. Yes, because no matter what, you guys, everybody divorcing with kids, you'll have a parenting plan.
You have to have one. There's so many things that come up while you're raising kids that you're going to have to have some direction on what to do. Like, for example, we just got through the holidays. So if it's like you guys are sharing Christmas, well, that doesn't give you the specific. What does that mean? What time of day does the kid leave? Whose house does the kid sleep at that night? Do they have to sleep somewhere the night before? Yeah. Like, there's so much detail that you need that your attorney isn't going to give you. I mean, I don't have a parenting plan. Luckily, I am pretty amicable with my ex, and so we can kind of get through stuff. But there's always there's always conversations that we need to have for holidays and school breaks, and like when someone gets sick, like if there's a snow day, who
The
keeps
weather.
There's so many things that come up.
Have you had I've had this came in as something that people want me to do TikToks about. If you lived closer to your ex-husband, what would you guys do with all the snow you've been getting? If there was a winter advisory that said stay off the roads, because right now today we have ice everywhere. Like it's raining. It's not even snowing, it's raining, but it's only 22 degrees. So everything is like fucking an ice rink out there. So like on a day like today in Illinois, if I had an exchange, I can't get on the road. I'm gonna end up in the ditch. So like that's a health hazard, safety risk. So what would you guys do? I mean, where you're at, this fucking snow comes down like crazy, but
yeah, we had tons of, so she had like 4 snow days last week. She would probably just stay where she's at. I mean, you don't want to risk it, right? You don't want to do anything dangerous. And I think they tell you, I mean, unless you're commuting to work or if it's like an emergency, you're really not supposed to be on the road. So
right.
I think she would have to just stay where she's at.
Which goes against a lot of your parenting plans. Your parenting plan is supposed to be you exchange no matter sickness, health, whatever. But weather, it's one of those things like
so unpredictable.
And it's so your opinion. If my ex-husband has a big, huge 4-wheel drive pickup truck that can get him, through the fucking river and mountains and snow and sleet, but I have a freaking Honda Civic that's going to be a fucking like bing across there's a difference there, right? He has the ability to come pick her up. I don't, so I think that comes into play. But when you have high conflict people, they will use every excuse to keep the kid. Oh, kid has a fever. Can't, kid's puking. Can't do the exchange. Oh, there's snow. Oh, the weather. And so we have to be careful here about saying, weather, your interpretation of the weather being bad might not be. So I think you have to really go off of what is your, safety coming out from your city or state that's saying stay off the roads, blah, blah, blah. Like around here today, they said you should only be on the road if you absolutely have to go to work. Otherwise, stay the fuck off the roads. That to me would be like, okay, she stays here. I'll tack on another day for you. But then that's again, high conflict. They'll say, well, you took my day, so I'm taking your day.
Right.
And now we're in this argument. And I just have to tell people that are in that thick of those type of arguments, hold on to the big picture. Hold on to this is one day. This is one argument. This is one moment in the big picture of life. As I'm starting to really get into with a 19 and 17-year-old, this is where the fun starts. The fun is really starting with the 19 and 17-year-old, because they get to choose where they go. It's no more this schedule.
Yeah.
They're choosing to come spend time with me. Walker came home yesterday, my 19-year-old, and it was just fun. Like, he's not here because of a schedule. He's not here because it's Wednesday. He's not here because it's his week. He came home because he wanted to come home. So big picture, eventually your kids will just come home to you.
Right.
And I don't think I had a grasp on that when I was going through my divorce. Every day mattered. It was like I was keeping fucking tally. Like, I got to make sure I hit my day. I got it. These days matter because he gets this many days and I get this. And I was so grappled in time that I have all kinds of time with them now.
Mm-hmm.
Unmeasurable. Like, it's just, they're here all the time. And so if you have a strong relationship with your kid will come home. If you don't, your kid's not going to come home for the holidays. Your kid's not going to come home for the weekend. I mean, did he come home to like steal stuff from my house? Yes. I mean, he came here to steal a tripod and, but I love him for it because he came home, he played with his brothers and hung out, talked to me about his job. And I just kept sitting there like, so many parents don't get this because they fucked it up in the midst of the divorce and the co-parenting journey. I mean, he's never going to go sit on his dad's couch.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart for him a little bit that's done. I don't ever see that ever working itself back out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm close with my dad. I can't imagine knowing
he has Jared
somebody out there. Yeah, he has Jared.
He has that role model and that connection. And
he has Jared, but like to know that there's someone out there that you're blood related to that doesn't want you and that you don't want either. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know how
it's
that would feel.
definitely something you have to take the time to process, talk about it, therapy,
Yeah. And
journaling,
both
things
kids
like
are in
that,
therapy, and yeah,
trying to
both kids are
accept
in
it.
therapy. Right.
But I think at the end of the day, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your parents, your sister, the Pope. Like, I don't care who it is. If it
Yeah.
is a relationship that is not good for you, if it is toxic, if it is unhealthy, if it
Yeah.
negatively impacts your well
You're right.
being, you got to go.
You're right. You're right. And so that's the other side of the coin. It's like, I feel bad that that situation happened. I didn't do anything to cause it to happen, but it happened. But then I'm with you. Like, even some relatives that I have, they're toxic. And
Yeah,
so I've
it's not
cut
good.
them out. So I mean, I guess that's true, that I guess it's not about the blood relation, it's just about the relationship you get from people. Like, I feel closer to you than I do a lot of my family members. My girlfriend Katie, I feel closer to her than, like, it's just, I
Yeah.
feel closer to people that invest time in my relationship with them, and it's reciprocated.
Yes. And I think that's something that I had to learn almost on accident because I had lost my parents young and I am an only child. I've like the people in my life are almost like this quilt that I've collected people as
Yeah.
I've gotten older, and I've made my own family.
Yeah.
And so whether I still have people who I'm blood related to and relatives, but I surround myself with the people who I have the healthiest relationships with, the people
Yeah.
who are my ride or dies. No, whether I'm high or low, they're there. They love me. They accept me. They support me, even through all the crazy shit, the
Mhm.
decisions I've made, all the times I've moved, all the times I've gotten married. My ride or die. Like, they're just like,
Yeah.
well, we're on your side. Like, do what you got
Right.
to do. And so I think that that's so important, is to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people, not people you feel like you're obligated to keep
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah, that's very good. Obligated, because that's kind of the relationship I have sometimes with grandparents. It's like, it feels more of an obligation than a want to.
Right.
Um, and that's been hard recently in my own life. But yeah, I mean, I think teaching your kids that too. And I think too many of us in a divorce and co-parenting, we so focus on the other parent if we know they're not a decent human being. And we question, how do our kids not know this? Why do our kids want to spend time with somebody that's, and we got to teach our kids that there's more than just their high conflict other parent. There's going to be tons of people in their lives. So, like, it starts with boundaries, and it's good that we're kind of talking about this because you're doing a workshop as well on boundaries. But, like, teaching people how to have the boundary, not just with their other parent, but with you possibly. I've overstepped in my kids' lives, and my kids have needed to put a boundary up. I've, done that with other people, and people have shown me boundaries. I think we have to start focusing less attention on teaching our kids. The other parent, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to tell that parent, you need to do this. That's a kid. But we
Yeah.
do need to start talking about the word boundaries and use other people as the example. If they have a teacher, right now, Josie has a math teacher that, I'm sorry, is crossed the line more ways than I can count, and putting his own agenda into math, putting his own political agenda into math, and talking down to kids. And he teaches a special ed class as well. And I'm like, Joe, you gotta either have to do one of two things: stand up for yourself and the others in the class, or have a boundary that you don't let it affect you. Just
Mhm.
because that's his shit doesn't mean it needs to be your shit. Just because he's having a moment where he needs to use his ability to talk down to students, that's on him. That's a reflection on him. That's nothing about you,
Right.
And so teaching kids that there's going to be teachers like that, not just their other parent.
Yeah, you might have
You
a
know?
boss like that or
Mhm.
coworkers like that. I mean, there's
Yeah.
always gonna be shitty people. No matter how
Always.
old you are, no matter where you are in your life, you're gonna meet people who you're just not aligned with, or who rub you the wrong way,
Right.
or who you need to set boundaries with, because remember, you can't change anybody else. And
Right.
I see so many times people get confused with boundaries. They say, well, he's not respecting my boundaries. He's not respecting my boundaries. Well, then you're not setting boundaries right,
Yeah.
because it's not about expecting them to be different. It's
Mhm.
about stating your needs and your limits. And if they don't respect it, what is your next step? What is your
Right.
consequence? What are you going to do next? You can't just stand there and wait for them to be different.
Right. Well, it goes back to what Sosha's asking here. She's asking, how do you help young kids with this obligated relationship? First and foremost, I want everybody to stop using the word fucking encourage. I hate that word. And I know the court system makes us say that word. One parent is supposed to encourage the children to have a relationship with their other parent. I hate that word. because I have no idea. I got divorced when my kids were 1 and 3. I had no idea what was going on in that house. But here I was saying, go to dad's. You're going to have a great time. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I'm sure it's going to be fun. I'm sure he's going to do great things with you. I didn't know that to be true. I wasn't living with him anymore. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I hate the word encourage. I hate that the court system tells all of us you need to encourage. Now, am I going to facilitate? Yes, that's a better word. I'm going to facilitate a relationship. I'm going to make sure that relationship is followed as far as what the court paper says, but I'm not going to sit here and be a fucking cheerleader for something that I don't know to be safe or good for them. And that was me. So then my kids were like, how could I ever tell her what's really going on at that house? Because look at her. She's like his number one cheerleader. She's over there saying he's great. He's fun. He's going to be entertaining. He's going to have things for us to do. She has no idea what we're really dealing with. And so we can't go to her because she's over there fucking encouraging us to go have a great time. So I hate that word. But what I want you to do is focus on teaching your kids what is right from wrong. What is appropriate? What is inappropriate? And I'm not saying you sit them down and say, this is what your dad should be doing and this is what he shouldn't be doing. I think you should be saying, this is what humans should be doing. This is how people should be talking to you. This is how you should feel around people. And you got to start teaching your kids to be assertive with you. You know, it comes down to telling your kids telling you and having the freedom to say, this is what I want to wear. This is how I want to wear my hair. This is what I like to eat. This is what I like to drink. Now, I'm not saying, you know, we're doing fruit snacks for every fucking meal, but I'm saying start giving your kids a lot of choices inside of your house where it's safe to show expression and to show change and to show that they want something that might not be the norm, to where they have self-confidence. Because then with self-confidence becomes the ability to implement boundaries, which then becomes it is like a stepping stone to get to standing up for themselves with their other parent. You can't start there. There's no way you can start there.
And it always starts with you. You have to lead from the front, because if you're trying to tell your kids that they need to set boundaries or advocate for themselves, but you're not doing it for yourself, they're not doing it either. You have to be the one to be setting your own boundaries in your life and embracing your authentic self and advocating for yourself. And you have to do all the things and walk in those shoes and lead from the front so that your kids see that example.
You know, like somebody just put over here in the comment section, you know, I tell my kids all the time to stand up to their dad. Can you imagine, like, I'm 44 and still fear standing up to my dad who's 64. I still respect the man so much and a little bit scared of him to ever stand up to him. And I'm 44 with the tools. I have the tools. I have the therapy background. I have all of that. And I still question doing it to really any adult. I still sometimes struggle with anybody of authoritative figure, whether it been my past bosses, you know, coworkers that were ahead of me and head of the, you know, department or whatever. I still had a problem with that. And now we're looking at a 9-year-old and we're saying, you need to stand up to your dad. I don't even know what powerhouse, and I'm guilty of saying the exact same words, but I don't know what we're thinking when that 9-year-old is watching me avoid conflict, not answer the phone. You know, in public, I'm kissing ass. I'm fearful of him. I'm talking nice to him in public, you know, and I'm avoiding doing anything to make him mad. And I'm kissing, like, my kids were literally watching me follow my ex-husband around, you know, doing everything he asked and being scared to death of him. They watched that. And then the same breath, I'd say, you need to stand up to your dad and you need to tell your dad. My son literally was like, how the fuck do you expect us to say something to him when you are a pussy around him? And I was like, you know, and then I took that to therapy and my therapist was like, your kid is right. You're wanting him to be this big, huge adult and you're not even being an adult. You're cowering to your ex-husband and so are your children because everybody's scared. Nobody knows how to stand up for themselves and they're watching you. And you guys, I'm telling you, it was like a fucking light switch. The second I learned boundaries and knowing myself well enough and having the confidence in my mothering, my whole world changed. My whole world changed but when I got boundaries. And then my kids followed suit. They saw me. You know, to this day, my kids are very confident people with older people in their lives. They have boundaries with people and it's fun to watch. But man, I was always telling my kids, you just need to tell your therapist. You just need to tell your dad. And it's like, but I wasn't. I was such a pussy back in the day because I feared confrontation. And then we wonder, don't our kids fear the confrontation too? I mean, my kids were like, well, we see how he talks to you. Why the hell would we sign up for that? we don't want to piss him off
Yeah.
because then he's going to treat us the way he treats you. And we're okay with him treating you that way because it's not treating us. And again, the second I showed boundaries, he didn't let him treat me that way. Who did he go to? My kids. He attacked the kids.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't have a relationship to this day.
Mhm.
So, the quicker you can get your kids there, the better, but you got to get there first.
Yeah.
You got to get there first.
So I have, I think it's the 16th and 17th. I have a boundaries and balance workshop. I've done it once before and it was awesome. And so I'm going to do it once more next month. So get in there. You can click the link in any of these bios. You go to my Mindfully Ready link tree. And it's at the top. It's boundaries and balance. It's amazing. It teaches you exactly how to set boundaries, where you need to be implementing boundaries, what to say, how to enforce them, what happens if you get pushback, and how to deal with the stress and anxiety that comes with it so that you can start doing it with more confidence.
Yeah. And you guys, we have a couple things coming out, between workshops. We got something brand new coming out in February that we're going to keep on the down low, but just kind of tease you guys with. But somebody asked earlier in the comment section, if we have a mom group, and hell yeah, we do. It's called The Next Chapter. We both have support groups, which are completely free to join. You can join those on Facebook. That might be where you're watching today. But we actually have The Next Chapter, which we're getting ready to give a training in the next 10 minutes, where we're going to discuss mediation prep and some of the things that I talked about. We're going to go into way more detail. So yeah, we absolutely do. We would love for you guys to be a part of that. And we have group coaching, which I think we only have a few slots open for women. 3 slots for moms and 2 slots for dads that are open. So if you want to get into that, really getting some time with us and asking us questions and helping us give you some strategy back, group coaching is really the best bang for your buck, actually, too, because then you have access to us on email. We had a mom this weekend who needed help with the parent coordinators involved and dads involved, and he was asking for more time. And the way he worded it to the parent coordinator was a bunch of lies and bullshit. So we were helping her facilitate a email back to the both of them. So, and then she takes it and she adds and deletes how she sees fit, but she at least has the structure of how she should be talking inside of that.
Coaches, you get to connect with other moms who are going through the same thing. It's really awesome. So for Carrie, where do I find The Next Chapter info? Go to samandleah.com. Everything is there, actually. The Next Chapter, group coaching.
Everything in the link.
Find it. And then if you scroll down, there's a picture of me and a picture of Sam with links to all of our stuff. So if you want Sam's parenting plan course that's coming up, you can click Sam Services. If you want to hop into my boundaries workshop, you can click Leah Services. So just go to samandleah.com. You can find everything. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to take off so we can get ready for our training that we're going to do. So TikTok, take care of yourselves, behave. Everybody else, we will be back again this week, but we're going to give that training on Monday. And then when are we back again? Don't we hang out?
Thursdays we usually hop in again. And if any of you, we're about to do the training on mediation prep. So if any of you have mediation coming up and you want info on how to get prepped for that, jump into The Next Chapter. We do a live training every Monday inside of The Next Chapter on all kinds of topics. I don't know what that is or how that happens. That little, and also the replays are available in there for 30 days. So even if you can't watch the live, the whole training is going to be in there for you. So you can hop in there and see it.
All right, you guys, behave yourself.